can roll with the flow, you know?
That's fun.
Okay. All right, you guys. Well, welcome to Vigilante Podcast, episode 29. We are very fortunate today. We get to be able to speak with Mary Nichols from 2 News. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
No, our pleasure, our pleasure. We get just a little bit right here, so I can see you. That's all right. But first off, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us. I know you just got done recording, so hope that went well this morning with you.
Live for 4.5 hours straight.
4.5 hours. How do you prepare for 4.5 hours of being on live TV?
You know what you're talking about. You really do have to be aware. We can't come in and be by something meeting at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we discuss it with all the producers and reporters, and we kind of say, okay, what all do we have today? What are we covering? And did we miss anything from last night? And usually not, because we have noon, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 10 in the evening.
Wow.
And so they have all those stories to pick from that they have to update for the morning, and what, if anything, happened overnight. And then we also have international news coming in.
Gotcha. So always just staying on the ball, keeping everything updated all the time.
Have to know everything.
Absolutely. Coming prepared. Preparation comes with confidence to speak. Like,
I hope so.
Well, for example, I work a lot in sales and things like that. And public speaking is something so many people are terrified of. But it's like, I love it because there's that rush. But when the preparation's there, it's like, it's just a good rush. You feel good, but you can dictate and delegate however you need to.
I still get nervous though, public speaking. I mean, talking to normal people is one thing, but talking to an audience, I still get nervous. It's not a camera. It's totally different than a camera in broadcasting. On television, they're looking at you. You don't see them. They don't laugh. If you say something funny, they don't laugh. You just died.
Right.
So I get nervous the first couple of minutes talking to a group because it's different.
Absolutely. How many times have you spoken from a group?
I do it several times a year.
Several times a year.
Yeah, I try to talk about being positive through adversity.
Right.
I talk about being a better communicator and how it helps take stress out of your life.
Okay.
Just a few different things. I gradually morphed what I talk about into my life experience and how I can weave that into what we've learned.
Right. Well, you have a beautiful story as well. So I'm
I've
excited.
learned a lot.
I'm excited to be able to glean a little bit from what you've learned. I mean, where just the journey that I've been able to hear from the outside has been incredible. So, like I said, we're blessed to be able to have you on here today, and we're very, very thankful. And just for the listeners' sake, how long have you worked at 2 News?
I've been at Channel 2 since April of '91.
Okay, April of '91.
So 28 years.
That's fantastic. Right. So, round of the show here now.
Not quite. At some point, I say every person in this building is my boss during the day. They can tell me what to do.
Right.
So I just have to come in prepared and ready to go.
More like a teamwork makes dream work.
Big time team. Yeah.
What is how? I mean, you guys spend a lot of time together, of course. But what is it like outside of work? Are you guys a real good friend? Obviously, you're friends outside of work, but are you to the point where it's like, hey, let's have barbecues?
We try to do that kind of little team building things, but I think we're really forced together.
Okay, gotcha.
Ron Bird and I have anchored together for 23 years on the morning show.
Wow, okay.
On the morning show. I've been in 5 years before that with other people and out reporting and doing everything.
Yeah.
But it's not like I can kill him.
Right.
No, but he knows that. We pick on each other. But you have to make it work.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have a choice.
Right.
You were put with this person and you make things work. And we're Stockton and Malone. We have to make all of our team shine.
Yeah.
And we get new people. People have come and gone over the 23 years we've been together. But we've always tried to make them as strong as possible because I won't even call them a supporting cast because they're part of our team.
Right.
And they have to be a big part of the plays. And we got to make it work.
And well, I have to say, I watch you guys, and you guys do work well.
Good.
I enjoy it.
Good. I think we have a really good team.
Yeah,
and even down to weather and traffic and live desk and our producers and our behind the scenes guys. I mean, our floor director is one of the best guys in the building.
Yeah.
And you never see him,
Yeah.
but he's the one giving us our time cues. He's saying, hey, we need you to move over here. Or he's snapping his fingers and hand signals and stuff. And it's really an impact. Every person has a big impact on the team. So it's pretty fun group. And it's 4.5 hours straight
Yeah.
in the morning, and you have to just make it work.
So it's just like drill.
Yeah. Sometimes the printer doesn't work. Sometimes a mistake happens, and you just have to keep going.
Wow.
Yeah.
Improvise that.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
I love it. Well, how much? Like, what would be one of the most important things? For example, we're starting a cold press juicery in Lane.
Mhm.
So we're looking forward to opening that up. But from a managing perspective, when you're trying to basically, like your floor director, he's writing a play. He's making sure everything's going out at the right times, etc. What would you say would be the most important part of bringing people together who are different, like making everybody collaborate into one goal, but they all have those different skill sets?
They all have their own specialty.
Right.
Like if it's communications or social media or marketing or management or manufacturing.
Yes.
I mean, all of those parts have to work together. I guess it takes the passion, because I think all of us want to put on a good product, and all of us are news driven. We're all news hounds, and I think that's what you share that passion.
Yeah.
And if you can find people who will share that passion, then you can find what their strengths are.
Gotcha. And then put them
And I think that's how it works.
Exactly like a sports team. Exactly.
Right.
Everyone's
Yeah.
have their own thing to play.
Yeah.
Well, and I've always said, it's Stockton and Malone were together. Which one was the leader?
Yeah.
They both were. So Ron and I are both leaders.
Right.
And we're, basically the base of the team, but Jeff Hornacek was important.
Yeah.
When they were playing, I mean, they always had really key players. Who was the shooting guard? Who was the point guard?
And they
Who,
call role players.
role players, right. But I was athletic. I was always on a team. I was born on a team. I'm one of 9 kids.
Okay.
And you
Gotcha.
learn to be part of the team, and everybody wins.
Yeah.
You help the team win. And I think everybody kind of fits into their role and their light that they bring.
Oh, that's incredible. What would you say your biggest strength as your role is that you play here? Obviously, you're directing, you're leading, you're able to rise and down. You've been here for a long time, so you know the inner workings of what could happen. Obviously, it's a new game all the time. But
I think now it's become more of a professor.
okay, that's it.
Because we get our overnight producers are usually pretty quite experienced.
Okay.
They come with a year or 2 experience in a smaller market, and Ron and I try to help them become better writers. And we have the experience and the knowledge and this market. We know the market. We know what Utah wants.
Yeah.
And we can say, maybe we should say it this way. And we don't yell at them. We don't say, you're stupid. You need to write this way. This is what I want. It's we're not divas.
Yeah.
Well, Ron is. But we can say it's okay to say this.
Right.
Or we prefer not to say continuing to follow. Because to me that's like you're chasing a truck that's leaving you behind.
Right.
But they still write it, and we never say it.
Gotcha.
And it's like after a while we need to say, okay, we don't say continuing, and we don't say we're following. We say we're tracking breaking news, or we're on the scene of breaking news. There's a language you can use, and I was an English major, so that's part of my teaching that comes in. Is I want to use language so it sounds like it's happening now, because it is happening now. Don't lie.
Yeah.
And don't use the wrong verb conjugation. Don't say police searching for suspect.
Yeah.
No, that's not using proper conjugation.
Right.
Police search for a suspect. That's okay. Don't say searching. Say search. That's active.
See, people don't know that. They don't.
It's like they're hearing it, but it's just going by them.
Use the proper conjugation.
But I think if they hear it wrong, they'll know subconsciously.
But it's become news speak.
Yeah.
And using the wrong. And I've always said in the mornings, people don't want to be yelled at.
Right.
People want to be told stories.
Yes.
They want you to say, hey, this is going on, and here's the weather, here's the traffic, and make you smile as you head out the door. We don't want everybody leaving the house grumpy.
Right.
So, because we tell you the bad stuff, but we also want you to know what's going on.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure you can agree, like stories are one of the most powerful forms of communication in general.
Right.
That's how history's been passed down, just through stories and communication. So.
And I guess that's our job,
Right.
As an English major and as the matriarch of the family.
Yeah.
You do have to try to help.
A storyteller.
Yeah, without being bossy and without finger pointing,
Right.
but just to say, okay, this is what I've learned.
Right. Leading.
Or here's a trick.
Right.
Here's a trick I've learned. You can take this out. I think today we had very wordy. They're approaching, discussing the topic of some kind of tax. It's like they want a tax for transportation.
Yeah.
And there are ways to get rid of all the big words. What are they looking at? They're looking at taxing so they can improve transportation. And tell the story. I always, even when I first started, it was tell the story like I'm sitting across the table from my dad at breakfast.
Like you're having a conversation.
And I'm telling you what's going on. I'm not going to say breaking news. I'm not going to say happening now.
Yeah.
You say this is going on.
Right. And just be real.
Yeah, police are looking for this person. He's accused of doing this. They don't apprehend the suspect at approximately 7:27. They caught the guy.
That sounds like a role. You're not a role.
Yeah, no, and you're not a cop, and you're not a doctor, and you're not a lawyer, so speak English.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think sometimes they're speaking their terminology, but our job is to translate it so everybody understands it.
Yeah, so that everybody can be able to listen.
Right. Wow. They get it. You don't have to tell it 3 times. That they get it the first time.
How much of a part did your English major play in your success?
Probably quite a bit. I think so, because it helps you with words.
Yeah.
It helps you choose a different word. Or I'll have people say, well, what about this? Does it have an apostrophe S?
Yeah.
Or what is this? Or how can we say this? And I'll say, change it completely. Just don't use that word.
Yeah.
Say the car that belongs to so-and-so instead of so-and-so's car.
Right.
Or vehicle. Vehicle is a bad one. Is it a truck? Is it a car? Let's find out what it is. And it was more of that, finding answers.
Right.
So we can come up with solutions.
That's
instead
funny.
of just winging it.
I do that when I text. If I don't know,
Mhm.
how does I have get rid of that word
Mhm.
and change the way I say it?
Right. Yeah. And
That's funny.
it's then you're not worried about being wrong.
Right.
Yeah. You don't want to be incorrect.
So that said, I have a question about, I know you've had to read a decent amount. Do you have a favorite book that has kind of propelled you, or even just mentally
I
propelled you?
think my favorite book is the last one I read.
Okay, I love that.
Usually,
Yeah.
because that's what is pushing me and driving me a little bit. And I the last one I read was on vacation shoot a couple months ago, and it was the Michelle Obama Becoming.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that book about her young life. It was Becoming, and then her life with Barack,
Right.
and then her life in the White House. It was just these 3 stages of her life and it all tied together about serving others and working to help the community and all the advocacy work she did while she was a practicing lawyer, she was working for issue-oriented companies
Right.
and trying to help the homeless in Chicago. And it's like, well, what can I do to help?
Yeah, trying to make it
So what am I doing instead of just going home and making dinner?
Right.
What can I do to help?
Beautiful. Beautiful. What would you say your most influential or impactful stories that you've had to report would be over the time you've been here?
Probably, I've had so many powerful stories, but the one that made me the most uncomfortable was when I was with breast cancer. And I was doing the story. The Intermountain Healthcare said I've been the Check Your Health spokesperson for 25 years.
Yeah.
And in 2011, they said, come and get a mammogram and show how easy it is.
Yeah.
Because Utah women are bad at getting mammograms. We're
Right.
second lowest in the country.
Really?
And even with insurance. So we're in the top 5 for fewest diagnoses of breast cancer. And I guess we're in the bottom 5 for diagnosis. We're in the top 5 for deaths.
Wow.
That means we're not getting diagnosed early enough
Why do you think that is?
because women aren't getting mammograms.
Do you just out of that?
I think part of it is a bit of the culture doesn't talk about stuff like that.
Mhm.
Also, a bit of the culture is women take care of everybody else.
Right.
You take care of your husband, you take care of your kids, you take care of your family. You make sure everything's planned for the week, and you do everything. And the last thing on the list is to go get your checkup. And so I think we just naturally put them off. I think men do it too.
Yeah.
But they said, come in and show how easy it is. So I had a mammogram on camera and looked right in the camera and said, a few moments of discomfort could save my life. I'm all right with that. And interviewed the doctor. We looked over the mammogram, talked about everything and why women need to do better.
Right.
And at the end, he's like patting my arm and he's like, you need to come back. And I said, well, I've had dense tissue before, so yeah, it's no big deal. And I'm like patting his arm because he'd never been on TV before. And I thought he was, nervous for being interviewed.
Right.
But he saw a tumor.
Wow.
And I didn't know. So I thought, it was volleyball season. I was coaching high school volleyball at the time, and and busy, and I said, oh, I'll come back, because I just thought it was the dense tissue thing.
Yeah.
And then, 2 weeks later, I get a call from the doctor I usually go to, and he's like, Mary, you need to come back in. And I said, oh yeah, I'll get back in. The next day he called and said, Mary, December 6th is open. What time are you coming in?
Yeah.
And then it's
Did you kind of know then?
oh yeah.
Like, okay.
And it was like within a few days, and I went in, and he's the one who did the ultrasound and then the biopsy, and wrote his cell number on the back of his card. So I knew it was bad.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it was treated a little differently, but it was, at first he said it was a DCIS, it's ductal carcinoma in situ, which means it's in a capsule. It's in like a little tumor that they can remove, and he said it's 100% curable. And then when they did some testing on it, they found out it was triple negative, which is negative to hormones. So hormones don't make it grow, but also they can't treat it with hormone therapy that they usually can treat. 85% of breast cancers are hormone treated.
Oh, really?
So it's more rare and it's pretty aggressive. So they have to treat it aggressively, even though we found it pretty early.
Right.
They have to treat it aggressively. So they found that out, and then I didn't tell my kids. I mean, I told my kids and my husband that it was 100% curable. They said that.
Yeah.
So now it's like, oh. And then it just, not knowing and deciding to do a story.
Right.
I ended up having the diagnosis in the first week of December. I had the surgery, just a lumpectomy, luckily, on December 19th, and I flew home the next day to Seattle to visit family for Christmas. It was our planned vacation to get home for Christmas with a big family. Everybody lives up in Seattle.
Right.
So we always have to go home for Christmas. And went home and was recovering from surgery and learning from other relatives what chemo is going to be like.
Right.
But also to come back and do the story.
Yeah.
So I came back and had to put together a story
Yeah, I remember that story.
about the surgery. And we had a photographer in with me through the surgery. So I got to see my tumor being pulled out. I got to see it go into the pathology lab, and they freeze it and slice it to see the makeup of the tumor and the lymph nodes that they remove and everything. And so it was fascinating for me as a medical reporter.
Right.
It's like, that was pretty cool.
Absolutely. What was it like when you first, like, when you knew? What were you feeling like when you got told you had to tell your family? Because we were fortunate enough as well to have Sarah Hill on our podcast, and she's the Weaver State football coach's wife.
Okay.
And she battled through cancer as well.
Right.
And she, same type of thing. She was like, it was just the whole life.
It's weird because now I'm realizing. I mean, now I'm 8 years.
Yeah.
Almost 8 years out of diagnosis, but I look back and say at 3 years, I was told my treatment worked, and I was a wreck.
Yeah.
Because that day I realized I had been faking it for 3 years, that everything was okay. And when he told me, I just cried.
Yeah.
I mean, like all day, my husband's like, it worked. Why are you crying? And it's like, I'm just realizing now that I was scared every day.
Right.
But I wasn't even letting myself know.
Yeah.
I was hiding it from my kids. I was hiding it from everybody at work. I didn't want anybody to worry about me. And I was really scared. And I didn't even know it. I hid it from myself.
And what do you think that is? Mrs. Hill also said that she didn't want to tell her kids when she found out. Why is that?
I wanted to tell my kids, but I also wanted them to weigh in on if I should go public with the story. They were freshmen in high school. My twins were freshmen in high school, and I didn't want people coming up to them. You know, if I went on TV with the story, I wouldn't want people to say, "Oh, I heard your mom's dying."
Yeah.
But I want them to know the truth, and they were like, "No, it'll be a more powerful story."
Wow.
You were telling people to go get mammograms. Who's going to listen to that? Well, they found something. That's going to be a more powerful story.
Right.
And so that's what kind of drove me, but I also didn't want them to worry. And I pretended like I was fine, and they pretended like they were fine. And now we can talk about it more, and it was pretty scary for all of us. There were days when they'd come home and I'd just be sleeping on the couch or try to get up, and chemo was the worst.
What was the battle with chemo?
The first few treatments, it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't know if it was working. I called my doctor to say, maybe we need to tweak this, because I had gotten sick. I felt a little bit of a headache one day after, and then my hair started falling out, and I cheered, because then I realized it was working.
Okay, exactly.
So, but all through it, I tried to find the positives, and it wasn't hard.
Right.
I mean, I realized that little kids, you're scary when you're bald.
Yeah.
And you're a woman, and it's kind of frightening for little kids. And I would tell little kids, I'm on a medicine that made my hair fall out.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay.
Right.
But it's the medicine. It's not being sick. It's the medicine that made my hair fall out. And chemo is medicine. It's poison, but it's medicine. And it was working. And that's the good part of it. But also I'm realizing, so 3 years was when I realized that turning it into news stories helped me deal with it, because I was treating it like it was somebody else. I was doing a story on this married chick who was going through it. And so I was the reporter looking at someone else going through it.
And you're talking about it.
And talking about it like it's happening to someone else, not to me.
Yeah, right. So you
So,
put yourself outside of the
and it helped me to see the video. It helped me to tell the story. It helped me to be that wall. And that helped me get through it. It helped me feel like I was doing something instead of being a victim.
Right.
I mean, and everybody's a victim of something.
Yes.
I mean, people have lost jobs or lost a family member or an illness or an accident. I have a friend who was hit by a truck.
Yeah.
She was in the hospital for a year. It's like, it's not cancer, but
Right.
it's horrible.
Yeah.
And everybody's going through something. So
Because,
everybody has a battle. And all of them are different. All of them are unique. So you can't just say, oh, you have this, do this.
Right.
It's not that way.
So you came on camera when you was losing your hair without
Without a wig.
a wig or anything.
Right.
What made you decide to do that?
I never wore the wig except for on the air.
Right.
Because I don't wear hats. I'm not a hat person. So wigs were just uncomfortable. They kind of gave me a headache. So I only wore them on the air. And I was comfortable with taking it off.
Yeah.
I actually had a vase on my desk, and I would put my wig on top of the vase. And people would look over and see the hair, but not me.
I remember watching that, and I remember people saying that, oh, it's so courageous and brave and stuff. And no offense, but I just took this.
Well, that's what happens.
Right.
And that was my goal of telling the story is, oh, that's why grandma lost her hair. Or that's why my mom was sick. Or that's why chemo or cancer is a fast growing cell. So chemo attacks fast growing cells. That's your hair. It's your taste buds. It's the lining of your stomach.
Interesting.
So keep that, and that's the thing. It's like every step of the way I'm learning something.
Yeah.
And I even asked one of the interviews I did for my story, I was getting my last round of chemo and interviewing my doctor,
Yeah.
interviewing my oncologist through the drips of poison, and said basically this is collateral damage. You're blowing up a city to kill 2 bad guys.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, it's collateral damage. That's what chemo does, and they're gradually getting better. So that's the other positive is we're in a great place
Right.
for medical research
Yes.
and medical treatment. We are really lucky in Utah. And research is curing cancers every day, really. And they're isolating. They now do precision genomics with chemotherapy. They can tap into the genetic makeup of your tumor
Really.
and your body, and they can precision target that cell.
Wow.
So it doesn't do as much collateral damage.
And you said this was during your coaching time, volleyball?
I coached the sophomore team at Juan Diego High School for a few years. I coached the girls when they were younger, and then when my daughter got into high school, I coached the sophomores and at all the dorks in the other gym.
Okay.
It was a blast. It was a total blast. Those girls are my babies. It was awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
I coach track. And they're your kids.
They are. I see those girls now in college, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that.
Yeah.
What would you say, like, to a young woman that's either, first off, that needs to be aware of her health, of course, but a young woman trying to get into a proactive lifestyle or profession like you are, is trying to really get their voice heard, or get their passion heard, you know?
I think probably just find something you enjoy doing. I knew I liked asking questions, and I liked learning something new every day.
Right.
And in 8th grade, I knew I wanted to be a reporter. I didn't know TV, newspaper, radio, whatever would work. And I ended up going to college on volleyball scholarship.
Oh, okay.
But the school I went to didn't have a communications or journalism program, but they did have English and speech and photographic journalism, some classes that I pieced together. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna take a chance.
Yeah.
And I gave myself 2 years. And I would say that's what I would advise. Give yourself 2 years to try something. And if it's not what you really like, if you're not having fun, I was going to go back and get my teaching certificate and teach English and coach. And I thought, well, I'll give myself 2 years. And I was working in a small market, making $800 a month.
Yeah.
And working my tail off. Shooting, writing, editing, doing everything, rolling my own teleprompter, editing, tearing scripts, taping it up. Now it's all on the computer. So it's pretty cool.
So how did you first get involved with working for maybe AC2 first, but the whole after college? Where did you experience?
I moved home and I interned at a station in Seattle.
Okay,
So I lived at home and I would drive down to Tacoma. Actually, this station was in Tacoma.
Okay.
And so it was smaller, but they let me tag along with photographers and reporters, and I picked their brains and I asked questions, and they did it for probably 4 months. Yeah, about 4 months, and I learned how to do everything. Learned how to shoot and edit and ask questions and set up gear and set up lights and microphones, and it was fun.
Yeah.
Being with a reporter and saying, "Okay, why did you ask that?"
Right.
Or how did you get him to say this? And figure out how to get people to explain it in 8 seconds instead of 30, because your story is short and you have to get it the 8-second soundbite instead of the 30-second soundbite. So that's a challenge, is to get them to say the same thing again, but shorter.
Right. Okay.
And more energy. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and you just learn little things like that, and then they helped me put a tape together. And back then it was a tape, it wasn't a chip.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent down tapes and begged for jobs and hit the road. And one day I went to Yakima, Washington, and said, I'd love to work here.
Yeah.
And I got the job.
Just like that.
And I was there for about 4 years. I started out as just a reporter, shooting and editing and doing my reporting. And then I got an anchor job. And then it was anchor, reporting, and producing and anchoring and doing everything. And it was a blast.
I like that. I like the interning part because a lot of people aren't willing to work for free.
Right.
Learn the trade or whatever.
And it's probably illegal now because I think you have to be a student and getting credits in order to intern.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was basically slave labor.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
It was awesome, but you got paid so much knowledge.
I got a tape that got me a job.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What was your first experience anchoring like?
I'm trying to remember. In Yakima, it's hard to remember, but we had to roll our own teleprompter.
Yeah.
But then you have the scripts in a stack as well. And as the anchor, you're also producing. So you have to back time. So you have a little clock on the set that shows how much time is left in the show, and the commercial breaks are timed in. And so I would reach over and take the script out of the sports guy's stack. Kill a story.
Yeah.
And now it's killed and it's uncoded and you have to get it all out of the computer and everything else. But back then I just took the script out and would be timing the show so you have to end at exactly the right time. And so I think that the pressure of getting all that done was different. And then the first show, I know I did a weekend here in Salt Lake. It was at the old station in West Valley. And at the last second, a new story came in and the producer changed all the reads. So I had looked at all my scripts and kind of glanced at my co-anchor's scripts and tweaked them and did this and did that and then get out there ready to go. And then I had everyone that was his read. Now I was reading because they switched it around.
Wow.
And I didn't have time to be nervous.
Right.
So it was kind of like, oh, okay, crap. And, write my name and then look through those scripts and it was great.
That's what I'm doing.
It worked.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's incredible. What would you say is your biggest obstacle up to this point has been working as an
Insecurities. I'm insecure about being. I went to college on a volleyball scholarship. Right? I always wanted to be 6'2".
Yeah.
But that's not normal. And so when I'm standing on set next to a full-grown man and I'm a foot taller than he is, it makes me huge.
Gotcha.
And I love being tall and I carry myself well, but I don't want to be giant.
Gotcha.
I actually had a guy stop me at Costco
Really?
the other day and a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Wow, you're a lot bigger in person." And I'm like, "Gee, thanks."
Wrong words.
You have no idea how I didn't want to hear that.
Right.
And then, you're a large woman. You didn't only stop at bigger in person. You're large, and it's like, and take it as okay. Help pay for college. I'm still self-conscious about it.
Right.
And I'll take my shoes off. I wear flip-flops during the show
Yeah.
because Ron slouches now. So
Okay.
he used to be taller than me. We're getting older. And that's the other thing, insecure about getting older. About wrinkles and about having to do my makeup and my hair and having to. So any flaw is distracting.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be distracted. You want them to hear the story. You're only saying it once.
Right.
And if the bags under your eyes are bad, then they're going to be saying, "What's wrong with Mary?" You know. And that's why when going through chemo and stuff, I look at the video now and it's horrible. I mean, I can't believe how nice people were to even watch, because I was puffy and green and the wigs were uncomfortable, and after a while I had to paint on my eyebrows and eyelashes because they were missed 4 days of work.
That's not
Through
Yeah.
surgery, chemo, and radiation. Yeah,
That's incredible.
so, but it wasn't easy.
Right. People wanted to see the story too, like they were invested in you.
But that's part of it too. There were times if I didn't show up to work, people were, not just, I would call,
Yeah.
but viewers would say, "Is
Worried.
Mary okay?
Yeah.
Is Mary okay?"
Right.
It's like, I didn't want people to worry about me. And I think that's part of it. That goes back to growing up in a big family. My dad was a telephone man. My mom stayed home until the last of us got into elementary school. Then she worked at a donut shop and at Albertsons, and then she was in PTA and ran in a youth service center and then ran for office. So
Awesome.
while raising 9 kids.
Wow.
So I look at what she had accomplished by the time she was my age, and I'm a slacker.
Yeah.
Being on boards to help people, and she was amazing. So, but it was always find something you can do. Be resourceful, work hard, be happy.
Right.
I was noticing even today, I was letting things Ron was doing bug me.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So early on, just today, I'm like, I'm letting Ron get to me.
Yeah.
Just my little voice in my head. I'm letting things he does bug me, and I've got to stop it.
You can control it.
I can control that. I'm letting it bug me.
Right.
It's not anything he's doing on purpose. It was me letting myself be bugged.
Right.
So knock it off.
Right.
Grow up.
Exactly.
Do things right.
I love
And make people smile and joke like you're supposed to, and make it better.
it. Right.
So that's
How
what I do.
often do you get recognized outside of here, and how does it make you feel?
That's been one of the hardest parts of the job, is being considered a celebrity by some people.
Yeah.
Some people don't watch. And I'll have some people, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know, I don't watch local news."
Yeah.
Well, don't apologize.
Right.
It's okay, I'm still doing my job. I'm not going to be offended by somebody who doesn't like me or know who I am.
Right.
But it's just weird. It's weird how, even we were in Las Vegas last weekend for Father's Day,
Yeah.
and my husband and daughter and I were walking, and somebody walked by and said, "That was Mary Nichols." And it's like, I heard him say it.
Right.
Yeah, it is me.
Yeah, well, say hi.
That's her.
I'm just your neighbor.
Right.
And that's the most, the best is when people just say hi.
Yeah.
And if they recognize it's because they think I'm their neighbor, then that means I'm comfortable enough and approachable enough.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Right.
Instead of being intimidated like I'm a movie star or something, I prefer to be your neighbor.
So I've heard like celebrities in interviews, or actors at least, like in movies, they would say, "Well, yeah, all these people, the fans that come up to me, they act like they know me, but they're acting like they know the character of them."
Oh, yeah.
Do people act like they know you outside of the news forms?
I think I am that person though. I'm not playing a character.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I'm telling
Transparent.
stories.
Right.
And I do that in real life. And we can't show our opinion.
Right.
As a journalist, and that's really tricky these days, because once you show your agenda,
Yeah.
you're not a journalist anymore.
Right.
I heard someone introduced as a conservative journalist, and it's like, no, you can't label a journalist.
Yeah.
That's like I'm saying a liberal journalist. No, that's not okay.
Right.
A journalist is in the middle and shows both sides.
Yes.
You don't pick a side, and you don't have an agenda. I'm not trying to get anyone elected. I'm not trying to get anyone impeached. I'm
You're retelling
telling
the story.
what's going on. And if something happens, the numbers, they interviewed people, they talked to people and their numbers, and we're science. It's not fake news. Don't call what we're reporting fake news when we're crediting other people with saying facts. The numbers are the numbers. We don't make them up.
Do you think there are news stations that make things up?
I don't think they're news stations. I think they're commentary and editorials
Okay.
that happen. And there are some stations that are left-leaning and some that are right-leaning, and you have to look at that. That's like reading the newspaper and opening the op-ed page. It's opinion and commentary.
Yeah.
It's not fact all the time. It's people saying their opinion. Well, sometimes we have that on the air. We were owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, and they have their commentary section, and they have a pro and a con, and they are both sides of a story. But they air a half an hour apart. So every once in a while we have people say, well, you're only showing one side, but no, wait a half hour. The other side's there.
Okay.
So we want to show both sides.
Right.
But you have to label it as a commentary. We're not trying to get any agenda accomplished. We're trying to tell the facts on both sides. Yeah. And there are a lot of, I think it gets frustrating when people look like a newscast. When like Fox News, when they first started, they came on saying, this is the facts. And it's like, no, that's commentary.
Right.
That's an opinion. You have to show both sides if you're going to be a newscast. And I think they should have to wear something, or, sitting at a table means it's an opinion. If you're sitting behind a desk, it means it's news. Yeah, but they all look the same.
Yeah.
And you have to, as an educated viewer, you have to make those decisions of what you believe and who you trust.
Yeah, a lot of viewers don't want to know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or they don't know how to educate themselves to know where to look.
And I think
There's
a
so
lot of
much
it too is,
information
it's so
out
much information and so hyped.
Yes.
You're stupid if you don't believe us. And it's like, I don't want to be stupid,
Right.
but what should I believe? And what numbers do you trust?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, look at the polls before the election. They showed Hillary was winning, and she didn't.
Right.
So yeah, polls can be wrong.
I love
But we're not the enemy of the people.
Right.
And we're not fake news. Those are two things that will bug me about the president saying, because it's like, that's a personal attack on me.
Gotcha.
And I don't like that,
Right.
because we're not making up stuff.
Yeah, that's fair enough, for sure. No, man, yeah, we're very thankful. This is
Especially local news. Local news, I think, across the board, local news does a really good job about not having an agenda and telling the facts.
Absolutely.
And I think people need local news.
No, you gotta be able to be informed, for sure.
Right? Know what's going on in your community and
In the world.
so you can vote and have a voice.
100%. What would you, I just have to go back to insecurities. Maybe I have that.
Oh, I have a list.
What would you what would you say for the young women, and especially young men as well? There's a lot of people, especially in the millennial demographic, who are really not getting built on the same principles that I feel like our parents and other generations before have passed down. And so I feel like they're being compared all day long. They're on social media, they're seeing their peers all day long, and they're comparing themselves. How would you encourage a young person to be confident in themselves and feel empowered when they look at themselves in the mirror?
Well, I think that's hard because I'm not a professional.
Yeah.
But and I go by example, and my twins are 22 years old now.
Yeah.
And so many of their friends and people that age suffer with anxiety and depression now.
Yeah.
And the only big difference is social media.
Yeah.
But you don't want to just blame that,
Right.
because it's also how they interpret social media.
Right. 100%. Exactly.
It's how they see it, and I like how Instagram is changing the likes,
Yes.
where you can't see how many likes it has when that's an obsession.
Exactly.
My son was on a dating site for a while.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I have 15 people here who want to go on a date. And it's
Right.
like, well, what does it matter? The number doesn't matter.
Right.
And the value is in who you are
Right.
and finding the right person someday, not in finding the right person tomorrow or how many people you can meet.
Yep.
And it's just to have that confidence though in yourself and not be reaching out to fake
Right.
likes.
Yes. That instant gratification. As
Well, and it's funny because we have to do social media
Right.
as well. I mean, for news.
Right.
And to get interaction with our audience and engagement with our audience, but also to hear their voice.
Yes.
You said this wrong, or you did this wrong, or you need to check out this story. And it's great. We get a lot of story ideas that way. And we also learn, how to pronounce a funny name or how to pronounce a town that we haven't heard of before.
Right.
We get a lot of feedback on social media, but we also try to post on Facebook where we get more engagement, and they have like a little competition to see who has, with all the stations in the market. We have one social media person who keeps track, and it's like, oh, so-and-so's winning, and so-and-so has more than you, and every once in a while Ron Bird gets obsessed. It's like he's like all or nothing.
Yeah.
And I have to have 3 posts today. And it's like, no, you don't. And he honestly pays attention to those numbers.
Right.
He's like, oh, you're just trying to beat so-and-so with numbers. And it's like, I don't care. I have no shits given
Right.
for,
So
you can edit that out, right? It's like, I really don't care. It's like, oh, you had a great week. And it's like, I think I was on vacation one week and Ron beat me
Right.
by a few numbers. And it's like, I'm like, I wanted to call him and say, oh my God, I'm devastated. You beat me. I'm a loser. And it's like, no, I honestly don't care. I mean, I know I need to do it and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's not about numbers.
I love that.
But I also used to, ratings.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what determines how much money we make, how many
Right.
commercials we can sell, what we can charge, and we need those numbers. And I didn't look at the numbers because I come to play every day.
Right.
I mean, that to me, that's like a professional basketball player and saying, oh, he's not even trying.
Right.
No, you come to play every day.
Right. The numbers
Every
count.
game counts.
Yeah.
And all the numbers count.
Right.
And so I never treated like ratings periods and sweeps week to be anything different than coming to play every day.
Right.
So
At what point did you realize that you're coming to actually play every day instead of coming to work every day? Because I think that's something too, where people they come and they go to a workforce and they have a job, but not everybody loves their job. So it seems to be your passion and you do fantastic at it. So if somebody's stuck, what's the biggest difference there for you?
Well, it's funny because my dad was a telephone man.
Okay.
And he was offered jobs in an office.
Yeah.
But he loved going out and hooking up people's phone systems
Right.
and companies. He knew everybody in the whole town of Renton and hooked up their phones. I got Rotary Senior of the Month and got to have lunch at the Rotary Club.
Okay.
And Dad went with me and he's like, I'm Tom the telephone guy. Shake their hands. And you look familiar. I put in your phone.
Yeah.
But he loved it. And with that motto, find something you love and you won't work a day in your life.
Yes.
And he enjoyed working. He enjoyed providing for his family, and he would show up in his telephone back when they had the vans. He'd pull up in his van at the middle school and watch a basketball game. Or all 9 of us were active, and he was always there. So it was, but that passion, I also realized that I don't do like the girls' weekend. I don't do a girls' trip to Vegas or my girls' trip. Every day I get to hang out with adults and carry on intelligent conversations and have fun with people I enjoy, even though I didn't choose them, but it's a fun work environment. Yeah, a lot of stuff's going on,
Right.
and not all pleasant,
Right.
but you learn how to get along with people, and it's a family,
Yeah.
and it really is, and I enjoy coming to work every day. I enjoy staying home with my family too,
Right.
but it's a really fun work environment, and I've never felt like I needed to have a day away from my family,
Right.
because work is away from my family.
Right. Do you feel like it ever bleeds into each other? Comes into your family life or vice versa?
Only when we like to talk politics with my son, who's a political science and
Okay.
philosophy major.
Oh, so you guys have some
Yeah.
great debates at the house.
But no, they'd be just animated conversations,
Right.
is what we call them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love it.
Because I think we know that, and we agree on a lot,
Yeah.
but every once in a while something will come up and it's like, okay, I can see your point.
Yeah.
And you're not going to change my mind.
Right. Agreed to
And
disagree.
fighting it doesn't make anything better.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say you're stupid because you disagree with me, because that's not true.
100%.
And I don't think I'm stupid if I don't agree with you.
Right.
So
That's how it should be.
we just have a different opinion.
Right.
That's okay.
Exactly. It's a good thing.
And that's okay. Yeah,
Absolutely.
but news doesn't really come. Every once in a while, like when my kids were little, and we would have like a few bad days.
Yeah.
Like kids being run over in their driveway, and
Yeah,
That's why
just
you
oh
ever
my
take a
gosh,
story home.
yeah. Every once in a while, it just builds up, and it's like, okay, just go home and have your kid.
like you said, you're getting negative news on a daily basis for a while.
Yeah.
And it's
Or it's
sometimes
the same negative story,
right
like
over
that
and
cute
over
little
and over.
Rizzy.
Yes.
Yeah, but there are some times when you're reading the story, even if you wrote it,
Yeah.
and it goes eyes to mouth, you don't want it to go through a trigger.
Gotcha.
I mean, there are some stories that don't need any emotion added.
right.
You don't need to emphasize anything
Yeah.
in some of these stories. They just happen. Other stories, like boring political stories, you have to say, and on this side, and you have to be more animated and to get the stories so people don't fall asleep.
Yeah.
But there are some stories that are so horrible you don't have to add anything to it.
So,
Yeah, just you don't want to add any emotion.
right.
It doesn't need it.
Right.
Yeah.
Power taken in the first place. Do you have good coping mechanisms you use though, like or does it not impact you as much like you said, you just go eyes and mouth, just let it go, shake it off and
Sometimes it's probably a little bit like first responders,
okay.
and we use humor.
Yeah.
Horrible, tactless,
Yep.
offensive humor.
Gotcha.
Behind the scenes,
Yeah.
never on the air.
Right.
And we'll never want it recorded.
Right.
And we would never post anything on social media
Or
or
repeated.
no, never repeat it. But it's
Right.
like, okay, we've got to change the mood here
Right.
and get it through this and get to the next commercial break. And
Reset.
so every once in a while, it's somebody dancing off to the side. Can't change it.
Right. That's even same with like a sales phone call. Right? You can have a terrible sales phone call, the person's yelling at you or something. Before you hop on the next one, you just gotta shake it off.
All right.
Yeah. Don't bring it on to the
And
next
anomaly,
one.
it's not going to happen again.
Right.
No, it'll probably happen again. but yeah, get through the next one.
100%. So, what do you see your future looking like here? You've been here, you're seasoned in what you do, you know what you're doing. Where do you see yourself going with AC2?
Well, it's
CBS.
that's okay. That's the thing. It's like nobody keeps track.
Good change.
And that's
Yeah,
when
the
we've
NBC, right?
we've done a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first came to this NBC. We've done surveys and stuff, and it's like people don't. That's why we moved downtown
Really?
because we're all alike. I had people ask what it's like to work with Dick Morse.
Yeah.
It's like I never worked with him.
You're right.
I think I've only met him once. Yeah, but they don't unless you look different. So we're downtown on Main Street now, and it's not a building. It's not a big wall. It's not, and it's nice to have an identifier like that. That we have something different, and know that people are actually trying to make a connection. But then that falls on promotions and marketing, and But I still have a couple years on a contract left,
Okay.
and I'm valuable here. When I first was here, I was trying to get back home to Seattle.
Yeah.
And now, Seattle's a bigger market,
Yeah.
and it was home. But now I'm not valuable there.
Right.
Who's the old chick? Who's the new old lady?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
When here, I'm valuable
Yeah.
because people know me.
Right.
And they can trust me.
Right.
And they remember this story, or they remember that story, or they saw me at the grocery store.
Right.
Or those things bond with people.
Right.
And I don't have that in Seattle, except for my huge family.
Right.
So, but my value is here, and I love it here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we always said when we first moved here, 2 years, 2-year contract.
Yeah.
We don't ski and we're not Mormon.
Right.
Why would we want to stay? And it's like 28 years later. Awesome place to live.
Right.
Yeah, and raise your kids.
Exactly. Beautiful.
And we're still not Mormon, and we still don't ski.
Still haven't skied, huh?
Nope.
That's incredible.
I'm missing my ACL, so I
Oh,
use that
really?
as an excuse. Really, I just don't want to look like a dork.
Volleyball injury.
Actually, it was basketball in high school, and I played with Grace through college and pro. So,
That's incredible. Well, before we wrap this up, do you have any more gold nuggets for our listeners? Anything else?
think of them all 10 minutes later.
Hey,
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we really pride ourselves on is really changing people's perspective on things. Just like you said, you choose to be offended. When mom was, I don't know if he was tapping a pen or whatever he was doing.
Just being
And he was offending you, but then you switch your perspective to
Right.
I'm offending myself based on other people's
I'm
reactions
letting
around me.
things bug me.
Exactly.
And you let people bug you. You let things bug you.
100%.
No, I just have always tried to be positive, like my dad.
Yeah.
I use it. In fact, when I talk about positivity, I use a picture of my dad. He'll be 95 next month,
Yes.
and he's a World War II vet, and he raised 9 kids, the telephone man, everything. And there's a picture of him. He went to a Seahawks game at his wife's son's house. My mom died 25 years ago, and dad remarried. But she's a wonderful grandmother, but she's not mom. But it's my stepbrother, who is my dad's doctor. So they're at my stepbrother's house watching a Seahawks game. He fell down the steps on the way out on the snow and ice. Ended up hitting his head. This was when he was only 91.
Yeah.
And and Rodney patched him up and before he sent him home, and he was all wrapped up in his bandage around his head and everything. And we have a picture of him.
Yeah.
Look at it. And that was years ago, but it's like, okay, look at this face.
Right.
You know, how can you not gain positivity from that? And there's always, I mean, I really don't like it when people say there's a reason for everything. I mean, I think some people believe that. I don't. And I don't think it's wrong. I just, I don't. There's no reason my mom died at age 67 of colon cancer. Nothing came out. She was a mentor and an advocate for everybody, and nothing good came of that. And people can see that maybe my having breast cancer, I turned it into a message, but I was already doing that message. So I don't see anything good that came out of it, unless it made my story more powerful and it gets across to one. But that's not why I don't think God created cancer, and I don't think God chooses to give someone cancer, and I don't think God chooses to let someone hit a home run.
Right.
I think if you believe in God, God probably loves everybody. He doesn't pick one person to lose and one person to get cancer to, and one person to cure and one person not to.
Right.
I don't think that makes sense, but then that's my belief. So, but you can make it positive.
Right.
You can turn it into something positive, and that's what I chose to do.
Right.
I chose to use it as a message to smack people upside the head and say, get your screenings.
Yeah.
Not just, I don't want to be the pink ribbon person. I want to be early detection.
Yes.
Get your screenings for heart disease, for diabetes, for high cholesterol, for heart disease that kills more people than all cancers combined.
Right. It'd be like instead of paying them all the money for prescriptions afterward, just pay them
Right.
for a better diet,
Right.
and exercise and preventative health.
Yeah, and I don't always live what I preach. I mean, I still haven't had a skin cancer screening,
Gotcha.
and I should. I think you're supposed to do that like even younger, and they do the mole mapping, and if
Right.
there's any change, they bring you in. But
Yeah.
no, I still need to do that. So to practice what I preach, right?
Absolutely.
But I do, my annual checkup, and I get my mammogram, and I do, other screenings, and that's just one of them. So
You're absolutely incredible.
I try to stay positive
Right.
and turn it into something that will at least help other people.
There,
How's that?
right on the money. I absolutely love it, helping other people. That's the name of the game. The secret of living is giving, So
I like that.
we're very thankful for having you on today. It's been incredible. Your story is amazing.
Well, thank you for helping,
Yeah.
and sharing.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Anything we can do to just help somebody become any type of better version of themselves is what we'd love to do.
I
So
hope they have some nuggets.
yes, absolutely. You have a lot of gold nuggets in there. So
Thank you.
for anybody listening, thank you guys so much. And as always, guys, Mary Nichols, she was amazing from CBS KUTV. I apologize for
2 news this
messing
morning.
up earlier.
No, that's
but,
good.
she's absolutely incredible. Tune in, check her out. Also, do you have social media as well?
Mary Nichols, KUTV.
And it's Nichols.
Nickles. Spell like pickles. That's how you can remember. How's that?
I love it. Absolutely. So Mary Nichols, go follow her on social media, check her out. She's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much again. And as always, guys, coming to you raw. Fantastic, Mary. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
We almost spent an hour, huh?
Yeah, that's perfect. I apologize for calling you guys the wrong name.
No, that's okay.
I can't believe I just said that.
ASL 5. Yeah. No, it's all.
And that was just
No problem. No problem at all.
I just
Like
know
I
it's
said-
2 news. I
Yeah,
always
2
say
news.
2 news.
Yep. Yeah. That's what we tried to label.
Yeah.
I mean, branding is so channel 2 news
Yeah.
instead of the call letters nobody knows.
Yeah. So what would you say, like, first off, thanks again for taking the time, but for my moving forward, do you have any tips that I might be able to glean from your experience over the past 20 odd years?
I would say, I mean, I'm just looking at maybe marketing wise
Yeah.
and for business. We've had people come in totally different than any other juice.
Yeah.
Then that'll be your hook. That'll be the catch. What kind of juice?
It's going to be cold pressed juice. So we're
Okay.
going to pride ourselves on never pasteurizing the product.
Okay.
It's through a masticating juicer, which is basically slow,
Mhm.
so no heat's going to kill any of the ingredients.
Okay.
And when it's pressing, the shelf life is only about 3-4 days. Okay. So that's something we're going to pride ourselves on because the trend's coming in the next 5 to get juice in stores everywhere. There's new pasteurization called HP. They put it through pressure instead of heat, but it's still
Nutrients are like the fiber that's in the pea.
right.
So if you're taking out the fiber, how is that helping my colon?
So
And if you have a juice that includes those,
Yes.
more like a smoothie, but it's a juice. I mean, some things you don't want the fiber.
right,
Like,
exactly.
If it's too grainy or something, but like an apple peel
Right.
is only beneficial.
right.
So why not include that in the juice?
Well, we're going to include other things as well. So we're going to include the smoothie bowls,
Mhm.
which will have a little bit more fiber in them. We're going to have overnight oats, and we're going to have toast as well.
Cool.
But the juice, you're trying to take the fiber away,
Right.
because it's getting to your bloodstream instantly, because your body doesn't have to digest them. It doesn't have to break any of it down. So the goal is ideally educating people on gaining their fiber from the rest of their diet,
Right.
and just supplementing juice into their lifestyle. Not turning it into a whole, that's everything they drink all the time, and then never getting any fiber.
Right.
But no juice is better than, some juice is better than no juice.
Right, and that's the thing. My mom died of colon cancer, and 2 years later, my dad had it. So
Wow.
all 9 of us are part of a study up at Huntsman
Wow.
because we're all 9 from
Right.
those parents, and they both had colon cancer. So it's for all of us. It's like we do the preventive and be very careful about what we eat, taking care of ourselves.
Exactly. Well, once we're opened up, you'd be glad. I'd love to come down here
I
and
agree.
let you try some. Yes, man, 100%. I agree.
I'm just trying to think of any other kind of hook that you can do.
For the juice itself,
Yeah. Can you keep the fiber
we could
and
do
turn it into a
additions.
flour?
You could
Turn it into like a wheat germ that you can add to a salad or cereal. I don't know.
That's actually a great idea, because
Because
what
it
we're
would
looking
still
to
be
do as
active.
well
Yeah.
is have things similar to that, not necessarily fiber-wise, but peanut butter or almond butter or cashew butter, and selling that on the website, online, out of the store.
Yeah.
So that would be there, but
Yeah.
it's going to be easy to create different things. Like we're going to have to figure out how do you reuse all the pulp.
Mhm. And that's what I'm thinking with the pulp. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
fiber.
Right. You could do. We were thinking maybe tea bags or maybe crackers, or you could do dog treats as well.
Oh yeah.
So we're just trying to fiddle with a couple different ideas and decide what route we want to take with it.
Awesome.
We're excited for sure.
That's pretty cool.
So, and then outside of that, do you know anybody else that we might be able to interview moving forward?
Yeah.
You're pretty cool as well, so if you're as good as you, I'm blessed for sure.
I'm right now. It's probably a lot in the medical community because I do so many health stories.
Yeah.
Or politics, or people that like to work with at the station. Nat Gephardt's awesome.
Still like,
Okay, absolutely.
yeah.
But I don't want you to get all the people to channel 2. You need to mix it up.
Right, absolutely. And really just anything's in our demographic. Our whole goal is to help people really change their perspective and think of things differently, because I just feel like the education system has been changed in over 100 years, and times are changing, kids are changing, and experiences are changing, but how they're learning and what they're learning. So just make people question their own things,
And open your mind.
Exactly.
100%. I got a question. Do you have, so we're pretty new at this, he does basically all the interview, and you've done this for a long time. Do you have any tips for him